It is a very interesting topic, which you actually said rightly, that we are talking about actually intellectual property, which is a very intangible thing to actually measure on.
True.
So we have the domain expert, Mr. Padmin Buch. Mr. Padmin Buch is a very senior IPR domain expert and has an experience more than 3 decades. He has an experience into corporate advisory and in the field of corporate industries and entrepreneurship, along with a lot of startups that he has helped on. Mr. Buch has also been associated with GTU, GITCPO, SSIP of Government of Gujarat. He has also been associated with various incubation centers such as CRADLI, EDII, and not to forget, he is also been recognized as national expert on the IPR. So we have an excellent speaker who's going to actually give us the advice, and looking at his experience, we actually, sir, are here to learn a lot from you, that how is this going to be very, very impactful to a startup or an MSME. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. And I must clarify one thing, that I am not the only panelist. There are 2 more panelists.
Right, sir.
I think the announcement was that it is a fireside chat with Padmin Buch. It is not really so. It is a panel discussion where my colleagues, Prashant Gandhi, and who is a successful MSME entrepreneur, and Mr. Rajit Arya, who is a successful startup, are going to be there. So we 3 there are there as a panelist, and both of them have already joined.
Correct,
I think I can see them on the screen. That's the only correction I just wanted to make. And thank you for the kind introduction, by the way.
Thank you so much, sir. With your continuation, I would also like to introduce, as you correctly mentioned, Mr. Ranjit has already joined. So Ranjit is actually a person who has just started up our Artem Network Private Limited, clean tech entrepreneur with 10 plus experience in the electronic vehicles, solar energy generation, solar panel manufacturing, and vertical farming is something what he is currently doing. Founded a Dispatch is the company name in 2020, and he has vehicles which are commercially, which is an e-vehicles which are commercially into a mobility. With that, we also have Sir Prashant. Prashant ji again has a vast experience, and he is a successful MSME entrepreneur. I think he has 2 manufacturing units what he's currently into, where he is expertise in aluminum tubes, synthetic yarn winding, plastic execution, and cheese jumbo tubes manufacturing. So I will open the session for all 3 of you. Let us have this discussion and see where we are taking this forward.
Okay. Thank you, Shweta ji. And as was discussed, I think Prasad, Rajit, both are with me now, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Both are able to hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
As was suggested, and I think agreed upon, is that we can follow a format wherein each of 3 of us will speak for about 8-10 minutes about their own experience and background kind of thing, confirming to the topic we have in mind. And then the other half, so another 30 minutes plus, will be devoted to an interaction and question answer session. I think that should be fine with everybody. Is it right?
Makes sense.
Shweta ji, Prashant, Rajit is fine? Prashant?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So let me take the start. Let me be the opening player. I hope I don't get out with the first ball. Because somebody was talking about a cricket analogy in earlier session, and which I like that also. Okay, look, I have been in the field of IPR since pretty long. In fact, when I started working, there were hardly any few people who were working in the field of intellectual property, right? And also, I haven't been closely associated with the industry, particularly MSMEs. So it's a kind of domain which I like to dwell upon over a period of years. What I am going to talk about in the next 5 or 8 minutes or so is what is intellectual property, right? Why and how it is important for the business industry as also ultimately society. Let us understand one thing. Business is a part of the society. We can never ever isolate business and society. And that is what we need to understand. All the business which contributes to the GDP of our country helps the society as a whole and the economy. If Prashant Bhai and Rajit are doing good work, it helps the society. Okay. And if you want to spread the culture of IPR, it is meant for the society. So I always make it that point of view. Another point I would like to make is that IPR is at the end of the day a commercial thing. We should never shy of saying, yeah, why commercial? Why it can't be commercial? Commercial is not in that sense. Commercial is that it creates some kind of value in the market. It creates value in the business. And it creates value, and then people are ready to take it. People are ready to utilize it. People are ready to pay for it. That is intellectual property right. Okay, as we know, I would say briefly, intellectual property right, what we in the normal parlance say, patents, trademark, copyright, or design. These are the intellectual property right. Okay. What is trademark? Trademark is a logo, it's a brand, but it is not so simple. If Pepsi or Amul have created their logo, that logo is the identification of that particular company and their range of products. I always tell the entrepreneurs, particularly MSME startup, first create a logo, register the trademark, and make it sure that people know you by the logo. The moment they see the logo, हाँ ये अच्छी company, एक product अच्छी होने वाली है. So trademark, design. I think Rajit Arya has done some design registration. Design is an outer shape. आप कुछ भी चीज का, furniture is the biggest example. The furniture of different shapes is one of the biggest potential market in the world since so many years. It's outer shape. It doesn't make a furniture more comfortable, not necessarily, but its look is important. हम कई बार बोलते हैं कि दिल को देखो चेहरा ना देखो, ऐसा नहीं होए, कभी बार वो चेहरा भी देखना पड़ता है. Furniture is an outer look. Every corporate, every hotel industry changes their furniture every second year because that is what attracts people. That furniture design can be registered with the IPR office and it becomes exclusive property of the designer, like National Institute of Design. Then you got a copyright, very well known. The film, music, industry, promotional campaign in the era of e-commerce, website design, all these are protected under copyright. And patent, which is most discussed because it has a direct impetus in the industry. Any improvement in performance of a product can be patented. What is this? These are the rights given to the innovators who has created a trademark or a logo, written some good article, produced a good film, research article, made a good design or improved the performance of a company or a product. These are the ownership right given to the innovator. And it is the innovator and the innovation which is the key in today's competitive market. It's a competitive market. How a person, particularly MSMEs and startups, which doesn't have unlimited resources, have an competitive edge. How they can keep ahead of the competition or at least be with the competition, be with the times. They have to keep on innovating themselves. And this innovation doesn't have to be rocket science. Small innovations, but which are relevant innovation, relevant to the business, relevant to the industry. Small innovations which creates value in the market. These innovations are the key to the success of MSMEs and startups. And if you do innovation, but don't protect under patent, don't protect under trademark, what is the fun? Somebody else will make advantage of this. That is why, my dear friend, everybody, intellectual property right has emerged as a potential and effective tool for MSMEs and startups. That is why we call it an effective tool or a strategic tool for anybody to be ahead of the competition and time. Okay. And for that, there is a cycle. IP creation, IP protection, and IP market connect. You do innovation, you create something new, it is an intellectual property. We know normally property, which is furniture and building and four-wheelers and two-wheelers. These are the fixed assets. These are tangible property. We can touch it, we can see it, we can feel it. What is intangible property? We know it is there, but we can't see it. The intellectual property is an intangible property. It is converted into intangible property by protecting under patent, trademark, or design. The innovator gets something on hand. Yes, for 20 years, this innovation is mine. When Prashant Gandhi has filed 7 or 8 patents, he's already got a patent. For 20 years, nobody can touch Siddhi engineers or Mr. Prashant Gandhi for their innovation. He can make use of it, he can prevent others also. That is the greatest thing, my dear friend, in a competitive world. So that is the creation of IP, what is called intellectual property. And you know, world over, these intangible assets carry the day. If you take up the balance sheet of the companies of USA, big companies, आपको उसमें building, furniture का कम दिखेगा asset, but number of patents are so many, and that is their asset, my dear. So you create an intellectual property. Why intellectual property? Because it is being created through intelligence. Then you protect under patent, trademark, design, whatever is there. Now, once you have created this innovation and property, once you have protected under these kind of formats, you are free to go to the market. Go to the market, tell, look, I have got this innovation which is going to improve your business, or you yourself can improve your business. Because you are protected under patent or a design, nobody can copy. MSMEs and startups and IPR gives them a direct connect to the market. They can freely discuss them, demonstrate it, because nobody can touch it. If they touch it, they can file a case. So this is, my dear friend, the why this theme has been selected so rightly by the Vyapaar Jagat. An effective tool for MSME and effective tool for them to be competitive, to be ahead, keep on doing something new. And that's what these two other two panelists are meant for that. So this is the basic theme. What is IPR and how it is important to MSMEs and startups. People somehow or other have been ignoring this, but things are changing to a great extent. And the third component of what my initial talk is the support ecosystem. What is support ecosystem? Over a period of time, the government, both at the central and the state level, have been encouraging filing of the patents. Subsidies, financial assistance, mentorship, guidance are given, and they are increasing day by day. Prashant knows, Prashant Gandhi has taken advantage of the subsidy by the government of Gujarat. All the startups are given priority in filing patent, getting patent, giving the financial assistance. There is I am mentor, I am a guide and mentor and expert to 3 incubation centers. Cradle at EDI, I create by the government of Gujarat, and CII at IIM Ahmedabad. And there are other people like me also. What we do? We guide, we work as a mentor to the people, young people, other people, startup, when they are going for some innovation. We guide them all the way, including encouraging and filing of the patents. And this is the support ecosystem. Also, people should know, yes, there are some gaps there, but still it is much better. And one should never hesitate in filing a patent if there is an innovation, because either he or she feels, okay, I don't know how to do it. There is enough guidance available, enough mentorship available, or he or she feels, I don't have money. Enough financial assistance is available. 75% subsidies given by the government of Gujarat to the cost of filing a patent from Gujarat. And you don't have to be Gujarati, just file patent from Gujarat. Similarly, central government has a scheme. So a support ecosystem is fine. At the end of the day, a patent and IPR is technical, a combination of technical, legal, and commercial part. Technical because we are doing something new. Technical in not in a theoretical sense. Technical in terms of knowledge. Legal because there is a legal framework. There is a patent law, there is a trademark law, and this is a very well established in India. It's a friendly thing. And lastly, commercial. If you do something well, you must get return. Why not? So my dear friend, this is why intellectual property rights in general and things like patent and design in particular are considered to be an effective tool or a strategic tool for MSMEs and startups. You can say that business models of all these MSMEs and startups IPR and IP management is an integral component of business models of all these companies. I think I will stop here is that because बोलने जाऊंगा तो कुछ समय हाथ नहीं मिलेगा. And there are two practitioners. I have been very. I was a just. I would just like to include one thing. Long back, I was a managing director of JITCO. Not a few years back. And a long year back, I started patent sale in JITCO with the help of government of Gujarat, and we encourage startups, MSMEs, individuals like anything, and we filed 65 patents for all these innovators. Let me tell you, most of the patents would not have been filed if JITCO was not there. So we are happy. I started that journey at that time, so that is why I was at that time known, and still I am known as a national expert. But the key point is that we have to continue the journey in a much better manner. I think thank you for giving me this initial opportunity to talk about a subject which is not only my profession but passion also. Okay, and I request Shweta ji to take over, and maybe next Prashant and Rajit can also share their experience.
Sure. Sir, I just would like to understand a couple of things from you. After that, you have given us an understanding how and IP rights is important. Now, it can be because we are into a profession where we are into franchising. So there are a lot of brands and a lot of things, or a lot of brands which come to us. Is it a myth that, it is only required to go for an IPR once you are established? Because this is something what we have actually seen in the market also. People only, try and go or probably try to file or take the rights once they have the fear that now they have become bigger. However, what you are trying to explain is something, this is an effective tool for an even startup. However, industries are different. As Prashant ji is currently into manufacturing, and he is manufacturing, and so he has patented a particular design. However, as you gave an example of a logo. So is this a myth, or, what is it? I mean to say, I'm sure everybody is confused about it, that the patent is only, or the trademark or the logo is ideally being, registered only once they have developed.
Okay, I will just take 1 minute to answer, then Prashant, of course, can elaborate on that. Sure. Look, patent, as I said, is important. It's a relevant point you have brought out, I must say. As I mentioned, patent is for something, an innovation which improves the performance of a product or a process. मान लो कि there is a four-wheeler car है, car का gear system है. Okay. Now somebody devises a new shape of the gear. Okay, it looks fine. It looks very aesthetic. It looks attractive. But because of this shape of the gear, it may look good, but it doesn't improve the fuel economy of a car. Okay. So that another example, if somebody designs a very nice design of a chair, okay, a fine chair, the chair looks very fine, very aesthetic, very attractive, but it doesn't mean that chair will be more comfortable. Okay. So these can be registered under design, both the gear system and the chair. Now, if somebody comes out with a gear technical improvement of the gear system, because of that, gear systems become smooth and it improves the fuel economy of that particular four-wheeler. Okay. That innovation can be patented. Okay. Similarly, if somebody comes out with a design of a chair which makes the chair more comfortable, it reduces the backache, then that innovation can be patented. I'm happy that you brought this subject. It's very important to know. That is why patents are always under focus, because it improves the process, it improves the product. And there are a number of examples like this of patent which has improved. Similarly, अपना जो pump होता है, पानी submersible pump होता है पानी लगाने. Somebody changes the design of the pump, it's okay. But somebody comes out with a technological innovation which makes the pump run faster, consumes less energy, then it is a patent. So we all have to keep in mind that designs are also important. There is a separate market for that. But at the same time, innovations which result into better performance of a product or a process are the need for the country, state, business, industry, and of course society. That is how it is.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. It cleared a lot of doubts. However, sir, I feel that, this patterning or what you just mentioned, you think as we Indians, do we lag in India or it is better in the other countries? Is the awareness which is missing right now?
I think certainly what I can do, we can do. So I suggest, if you don't mind, let's start with Prashant and Rajit, and then we can go into this question answer, if you don't
Sure,
mind.
sir. It was a
If you don't mind, you are the boss ultimately. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ji Prashant ji.
Yeah, thank you very much for providing me an opportunity to be with this group of Vyapaar Jagat. We are actually into manufacture of aluminum precision drawn tubes, as also textile bobbins and engineering plastic extrusions. I, along with my partners, Bhagwat Patel and Shailesh Patel, and a team of dedicated about 100 plus persons, we have been working to produce better import substitutes. By that, what I mean is, in our own sphere or domain, whatever products were coming from other than India, mainly from Germany, South Korea, and Japan, we have, with our own Indian technology, attempted to produce products with better functional features. And that is what has brought us to a point where we are able to file several patents, and a few more are in line also. And it is very apt to say that it is a real effective tool for MSME, in a sense that the patents have brought a competitive advantage which is not a short-term one. It has brought competitive advantage which is fairly long-term. That is one. Second is, several of our patent ideas have helped us to make sure that our organization is on a exponential growth trajectory. By exponential, I mean is, continuously growing at more than about 50% on annual basis. Now, this is something which is normally a dream. But here I would like to state with our example that one of the patents that we got just during pandemic brought us additional sales of about more than 10%, while we were growing at 50%. Now, it is a very major contribution. One another patent for a textile bobbin, which looked like a commodity throughout, has now put one of our firms on a tremendous growth journey. And here we are assured that whether somebody tries to copy it also, we have that avenue of legally challenging them and preventing them from doing so for a longer time. As Padmin Bhai rightly used three words: technical, legal, and commercial. These legal avenue of filing the patent provides a tremendous commercial advantage in terms of your running profit, as also at some point of time, if one decides to part off with the patents, in a sense that sell the right for the patent, that also can provide a very hefty commercial value to the inventor. Having said so, I would like to say that, you see, we have dealt enough with the effectiveness of this tool. What is very important is how MSMEs can develop mechanisms so that they are into a ball game where they are able to invent, file patents, and take the advantage for a reasonably longer time. And here lies the clue. You see, there are, when we talk about number of MSMEs, only in Gujarat, they say there are probably about 6 lakh MSMEs. And how many of them may be filing patent? They may be in few hundreds. And here, government has created a wonderful supporting mechanism. Padmin Bhai did mention about 75% grant given by Gujarat government. I would like to give an example. We had an opportunity that for one of our products, the patent could be filed in Israel. The investment was coming to the tune of about 4 lakh rupees. And as a small scale unit, we were really thinking whether to go for it or not. And the moment we found that government is going to pay us sooner or the later 3 lakhs out of it, we went ahead with it. And the patent application has created a tremendous competitive advantage for our organization. In addition to that, I would also like to mention one or two intangible factors. You see, as an inventor, the kind of satisfaction that you derive cannot be equated with commercial gains, but it is something that again inspires the innovator to do further such work. Second is, from our experience, I would say that the moment we got patent, the whole team in the marketing as also in manufacturing found that we are in a position to create value in this society for the benefit of the user industry. And the day we received the patent, our sales started growing exponentially. You see, after applying, we waited for about 4 years to get the patent. But the moment the patent was received for a particular variety of product for packaging textiles, we were able to fetch a sales of 3 lakh pieces during last year when everybody was talking about pandemic and its effect. Whereas against these 3 lakhs of a particular variety, we were selling about 25,000 numbers of same in the earlier 2 or 3 years. So my point is that number one, it boosts up the tempo of the whole organization. Now, in addition to getting this satisfaction, what has happened is the commercial advantage that we have derived now is helping us to remain in this cycle of inventing and inventing and inventing. So having filed 6 patents, we have also invented certain things for which we will be filing 2 more patents in coming 3 or 4 months. And further work is on where we might file 2 or 3 more patents next year. And this has brought several organizations into the field of research and development or technology very closer to us. Earlier, the organizations like IIT, if you go there, you find mostly corporates working with them. For past few years, they are working with us on collaborative research in a fairly aggressive way. And that has put the organization into a totally different league. Now I would like to come to my last point, saying that when IPR is an effective tool, what could be done to bring many MSMEs into this field of filing the patents? So for doing so, they will have to innovate, create value, and to do so, one will have to understand as to what additional functional value can be created in the domain where we are operating. And this is possible when one interacts with the stakeholders and mainly the customers. Having done so, having realized the needs which can create value for the users, one needs to create a structure in the organization. Structure in a sense that I don't say that you need many employees or divisions. No, that is not realistic for MSMEs. But one can create systems and processes and focus. By system, what I mean is one can always think about following certain procedures. As an example, I would say design of experiment. You know, if the MSME owners, they try and get some knowledge about design of experiment and put it into a formal practice, then they will be able to reduce the time of the development, as also the focus will not be left if it is reviewed regularly in the organization. With this, I would like to say that we have found patent as a very effective tool to improve our sales, grow exponentially, create satisfaction among all the team members, and ultimately creating huge value in our own domain for the society. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prashantji. It was wonderful to hear and understand that what all benefits actually do we get. However, the numbers are very poor that you just mentioned that, out of lakhs of MSMEs, there are hardly some hundreds of numbers, those who have actually gone ahead and taken this initiative. I think this platform is going to be an excellent tool, or probably as you correctly mentioned, and the word is being chosen, very effectively, that it is an effective tool. So Ranjit, we would like to really hear from you now.
Firstly, thanks for having me. As we started our journey, our relation with IPR actually started because of a series of bad experiences. So when you're a small company, less resources, you tend to go to investors, you share your ideas. Sometimes they are not investors, they are people who just want to know, they're fishing around for information. We found ourselves in positions where today we shared something and a few months later we found someone else doing exactly the same thing. So our experience with this actually started on a bad note through bad experiences, which taught us the importance of IP rights. As Mr. Buch was explaining, there's a lack of awareness also, especially with small companies that so the awareness is there that you need to file for IP, but the awareness is yet not enough that there is enough support available for filing IP. So the reason why companies like ours in the initial years don't file for IP most often is because we are of the mindset or of the belief that it's too expensive, it is too time consuming, we don't have the resources, etc. And while it is true to a certain extent, there is as Mr. Gandhi and Mr. Buch both explained, there is a support ecosystem that is available. It's just a matter of awareness, trying to find out where you can get support from, whether it's the central government, state government. There are some incubation programs that support with IP, etc. When we started to finally file for IP, we did also with that have a few bad experiences with our initial filings. We were not guided correctly. We ended up filing incorrectly, etc. And that is also a matter of the second part of support, which is the legal side of things. So if you have a good advisor, you have a good consultant, you have a good IP lawyer, you are in a good position, because then they guide you correctly. They tell you what needs to be done, how it works, what it costs, etc. Because often with IP, especially patents and design, there is a lot of follow-up cost. So it's not that you file today and that's the only cost. There could be other costs in the future before you get the granted certificate. So these things need to be explained to the inventor or the person or the company that is the applicant right from day one. And that is a matter of getting the right advice, the right support from your consultant, your IP lawyer, etc. We were fortunate that eventually we got in touch with a very good firm. They supported us. We have now filed 2 designs. We have one of those designs have been filed globally in around 45 countries. We have already been granted in many of those countries. From our previous filings, we have got 3 provisional patents filed that were due to be filed for final filing, etc. We have a few trademarks that are filed, which are granted. But moving forward, our focus is on filing a lot more patents on the technology front. Unlike the West, where even a design is a patent, in India, it's just a registration. So when we typically, look at, say, talking to an investor, or if I put it this way, the value of a design is not considered that much in the Indian market as much as the value of a patent is considered. So we are looking now at filing more patents. We have about 11 to 12 patents under the drafting phase, and we're preparing to file a lot more patents. Coming to the importance of IPR for a startup, especially. As we all know, startups start with a very small amount of resources and continue to work with a very small amount of resources for a long time, maybe 2, 3, 4 years. And we have to be very disciplined about how we, secure our investments in development. If we don't have IP rights, it is not a matter of if, but it is a matter of when someone will copy us. So we have had experience even where we have got the IP and someone has still copied us. So currently we have a design that is protected, but we see other companies who are also startups, who are also not of a maturity level where the company is not of a maturity level where they understand IPR. They still go ahead and copy us. They still use our trademark logos. They still use our word marks, etc. So this still happens, and it can be devastating and completely destructive for a small company like ours, because we invest everything that we have into developing stuff, and when someone copies it, we don't have the resources to go and fight them. So if we don't have IP protection, we would be in a situation where there is nothing we can do. Unlike big corporates where they have the budgets to fight legally, go to court, even sometimes in cases where they don't have the certification for IP, they are able to protect their IP. In our case, it's just the day someone copies us, we know that's something we have to let go of. But the most important reason why someone should file IP in our thought process is that not only to stop somebody else from copying what you're doing, but to stop somebody from stopping you from doing what you actually invented, which has also happened in many cases. We have read case studies where somebody is the inventor, somebody has designed something, somebody else goes and copies it, probably has better resources to legally act, and they stop the original inventor from using that technology or design or trademark. It could be anything. So IPR should be looked at from this perspective also, in our view, that it's not only to stop someone else, it's to stop someone else from stopping you. So this is one thing that we've learned. There is a great amount of awareness. We were discussing, Mr. Gandhi was explaining about, how there are so many lakhs of MSMEs in the country. There may be over 1 crore of SMEs, but where there are hardly a few hundred, few thousand small companies that invest in IPR. So traditional businesses generally have had less awareness, have given less importance to IPR. But in the startup world, usually we see that awareness is higher. Startups generally tend to, go and file, but the awareness around the support ecosystem is what is lacking, and that's why such conversations, like the one we are having right now, are very important to make startups aware that there is support available, so that they don't repeat the mistakes that we made when we thought it is too expensive and didn't even care to go and find out. It was just perceived as something that is very expensive. So there is a term for it, which is perceived value. And when that perceived value in your mind is so high that you don't even bother to make an effort to find out if support is available or discounts are available or incentives from the government are available, etc., because you in your mind think there is no way I can do it. There is no chance. So that is still a mindset, that is still a problem, especially in the startup ecosystem, because most startups are struggling to even stay alive. So when you talk to them about IP, they don't even consider it. Hence, I believe, another sort of very important thing is to have more of these conversations, like what Vyapaar Jagat is doing, and include more startups to make them aware of these, support ecosystem, the grants from the government, incentives, etc. And there are a lot of IP law firms also that provide support. So they charge reduced fees. So they subsidize it for the startups, etc. Other than that, I believe we are yet very early on in our IP journey. We know that we are already gaining from having filed IP, but it's yet to be seen to what extent that gain will be. But we do understand the importance and would like to carry on, pursuing the protection of our IP, and also respect the IP of other companies. So we often see there are startups and large companies that on one hand talk about the protection of their own IP, but do not respect the IP of other companies, other inventors. So that is another area where, good policy, good, overall intent is required, so that IP is mutually beneficial for all in the industry. And that's how we would like to look at it.
Right. Thank you so much, Ramjit. I believe we are currently having a combination of somebody who has been, utilizing this particular rights in a way where, it has benefited. The other side of it, when I understand what you have faced and you have not given up, and then you are still struggling, and, you're still struggling. And I'm sure, like I actually mentioned, with continuation of what Mr. Buch was trying to explain it to us, it is a challenge. It is something which needs to be brought to people, and a lot of SMEs and MSMEs who needs to understand there is a solution to it rather than giving up. So, sir, I would like to actually, pass it on to you. Again, asking the same question, is it because of India that, lack of awareness, or the startups are just giving up, and just because there is no direction which is being given to anybody? Can be there platforms, as how Ranjit was trying to explain it to us? Can there be a better awareness? How do we help the society like that, which will make really an Atmanirbhar Bharat? Yes, sir.
I would just like to answer in 1 minute time. First and foremost, yes, if you go by the numbers, India per year, on an average since last 5 years, is filing around 50,000 patents. Okay. Filing, I'm saying 50,000 patents we are filing. And at Prashant said, आप उसमें से आप MSME और startup का देखेंगे तो it will be much less than that. That is one thing. Against that, South Korea, country size of the Gujarat and Karnataka, is filing around 3.5 lakh patents. And China की बात जाने दो, China files around 10 lakh patents, 12 lakh patents. Even if 10-12 lakh patents China का 50% bogus है, फिर भी they are sitting on 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs of innovations which are patented. Why it is happening? Yes, what Rajit and Prashant said. I know Prashant and Rajit both. I have been in some way or other one of the person who are, at this particular case of Prashant, I have been encouraging them to file the patent. Prashant has been working as a proactive company since years, but he started filing patents in the last 3-5 years. So somehow it is not percolated down, as Rajit very well put on. Somehow other startups are not aware कि IP करने की जरूरत है along with other things. So you have to start with IP registration. That requires proactive approach from both the sides, the government and the industry. Both have to come together. One cannot wait कि हमको कोई आता नहीं है बताने के लिए, other person के दिया हमारे पास आते नहीं. Other point which I would like to include is what I say. I will combine the two questions. Is industry academic interface. पूरे वर्ल्ड में, if you go to California, if you go to Israel, if you go to South Korea, the initial research work, initial innovative work starts with the academics. Then industry moves in. The role of academia is to do the initial research, come out with some new innovation. The role of the industry and business is to come and seek out of 10 जो innovation हो रहे हैं उसमें से कौन सा अच्छा है. They pick up. The patent ownership could be joint. The commercialization can be done by the industry. It's a sharing of the reward from what is called research to revenue. Prashant, I know at least that he has been in regular touch with the academics. With whether IIT Gandhi or IDA or Technical Institute, he is in regular touch with the academics. So this is another factor we need to do. And the third and last factor I would like to say is that what Rajit has said. There are incubation center. I am also part of incubation center, but I still believe there is a gap. I have been telling this incubation center कि आप उधर बैठे हैं उसमें सिर्फ नहीं चलेगा. There are people who are coming to us, but there are people who are sitting at their places. Can we go there? That is what is required to be done. Things are happening, great deal. One of we discussing this thing in this Vyapaar Jagat convention today is one of the reason and one of the factor which is makes things happening. But much more needs to be done on both the sides, government, authority, and business and industry. They have to do much more to make sure that IP is a part of the business model. It's not जो उसमें जो cost है, mentorship support is not a problem. वो तो मिल जाएगा if one is ready to do that. That's what my point is.
So,
yeah, Ranjit, you were saying something.
Yeah, please.
So, just to add to that, all these incentives that are available from the government, central, state, from IP law firms, lot of support in different ways is available. We have to understand why the government lends support. So the government is not sitting on free cash to support 75% of the cost up to 21 lakhs, which is not a small amount, or central government is giving subsidized rates for filing, etc. So this is not because government is sitting on free cash and just because we are a startup or just because we are a small company they want to support. We have to understand that when companies, startups, MSMEs or large companies in India get IP rights, it makes us more competitive globally. So today, if I develop a product which I have protected across not just India, but many other countries, it gives me a competitive advantage in global markets, hence improving India's economy eventually. So it is only benefiting the country, it is benefiting the state, not just a company or an inventor. So IP right protection is eventually going to benefit everybody, not just the company that holds the IP right. And that is why governments come forward and support, with incentives. It is now just a matter of creating more awareness around it, creating more, even better incentives, providing even more support as much as possible. Because I'll give you one example. So when we filed for a design, the government fee is 1,000 rupees for a startup. For a large company, it is probably about 5,000 rupees. For a trademark, which is simpler than a design or a patent, the fee is 4,500 for a startup and 9,000 for a large company. So sometimes we feel like there is a disconnect between the kind of support that they want to extend and the kind of support that they are extending. Because if a design can be charged 1,000 rupees, why charge 4,500 for a trademark, which is simpler, right? The processing is simpler. So there are many such aspects when you get into the depth of it, which needs to be looked at again by the policymakers, and the same needs to be sort of designed in coordination with the industry through dialogue. So the effort so far has been great. Now it is a matter of improving that effort and increasing the awareness.
In continuation with Rajit, sir, I would like to summarize this session with one last question, which is in continuation with what he's trying to say. I understood from Prashant ji, also understood from Rajit as an person from an absolute different background, understanding the challenges that both of them had faced. Now, Prashant ji also explained us saying that, when he understood the filing was of 4 lakh rupees, and then till the time he did not understood about the subsidy, he did not file it. Same goes with Rajit, where there were a couple of challenges, and the price point that we are currently talking about is something which, yes, in a very, in balanced way, that it is supporting government also. It is also supporting a startup, because startup is any which way struggling. So spending a penny extra at that time, something which is one, they feel it is not important. Two, that can be because of lack of awareness, can be possible. Like you said, perceivedness is something, Rajat, you actually gave an example also saying that, it is perceived that it is very expensive. So something which is not required, very expensive, startup, I don't know whether I should go ahead or not. So, sir, I would like to, just summarize the whole thing and how we can actually, maybe have more awareness towards it, or, have something around it which helps the startup to understand the importance of it, and also let them know that this is something which is really not that expensive. Government is there to support them.
Prashant, would you like to add something?
So we can't hear you.
Yes, sir, please summarize.
Prashant, you are in mute or what? We are not able to hear you.
No, I have removed mute, but I have no other point. No, Padmin bhai.
I would just take half a minute. Just what Rajit said is very important. We need such kind of feedback from the practitioners, MSME startups, because no scheme can be perfect. No scheme and its implementation can be perfect. So I have been part of the policy making also since long. Prashant knows that there was a problem about granting subsidy for the process patent. And we had to try very hard, and ultimately government agreed. Yes, we'll give patent subsidy for the process patent also. So same thing what Rajit has said, why there is a difference in the fees between design and trademark. I know the reason, but that reason is not logical. I already told the government. The government says a trademark is more of a commercial, design is a more of a technical and innovative. That is their argument, but that argument may not be very logical because trademark is also acquired by the small traders also. Okay, so they should not be loaded that kind of thing. So Rajit and Prashant both are important players because their feedback makes the system better in terms of policy and implementation of policy. I think that's my contention. And such kind of forum, Vyapaar Jagat, I must thank Vyapaar Jagat to organize such kind of panel discussion on a very important topic which needs awareness, which also brings out such issues.
Sir, thank you so much for making this particular session a success. I think it was really very insightful and lot of new things to learn for the startups, early risers, and all the MSME entrepreneurs. And very good, the depth of the IPR, things which you have shared. In fact, Rajit and Prashant ji has shared several stories. So I feel it, like it is a very good session. And thank you so much, Shweta ji, for moderating this particular session. You are a very good moderator.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, everyone, for your time and participating in this particular event. Thank you so much.